Yeah, she's coming. Like, oh my God, you guys, she's coming. What do I need this mask for? Vera's coming. Holy shit. Yeah. We're gonna go shooting. We're gonna go hiking. We're gonna forge some stuff. Oh, when she gets here, it's gonna be sweet. We're gonna shoot something cool. You know what? We're gonna do an episode together. I know she's gonna want to do that. We're gonna make something awesome. Yeah! You guys don't understand. This girl is awesome. Like, I met her in Boston, and like, I don't know, man. She's just like the coolest chick in the world. I lived with her for a while. Like, awesome, awesome chick. Like, oh man, I gotta make her something. I was an asshole. Like, you know, like when you're not mature enough to, I don't know, like be with somebody, and like then you get older and you are like, it's one of those things. Like, I gotta make her something. I gotta make her a knife. Okay, you guys are gonna watch me make a really cool knife for her. Like, I'm not gonna, I don't know what I'm gonna make. I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna make something that I know she's gonna love. Dude, she loves knives. Like, she's into everything I'm into. It's awesome.
What's going on, everybody? All right, so this stuff that I'm using right here is A2. All right, it's kind of hard to get. You gotta order it. Yeah, it's like tool steel is what they make like wrenches and stuff out of. But I want to make something super special for her. All right. Now this stuff's really cool because it actually air hardens. From everything that I've heard, how brittle it gets, all you got to do is put it in the air, and I'm putting it in some water. It causes a problem later. Oh man. All right. So this is where we're gonna start using bone. This is the first time I've ever actually worked with bone, and I really got to start recording these when I'm like super dead tired. But we just want to cut it off, and I use disc grinder because I don't have a bone saw. It's not something common that you get. Anyways, you just want to cut them off on both ends. Now I messed up, and I actually broke this one that you're looking at. So I had to restart, and so I decided to cut it in half before I cut off the bottom part, and then I got mad because the steel saw wasn't working, so I used the disc grinder again, and then just really quick and easy. But wear a face mask, dude. That powder from the bones gets like in your lungs, up your nose. Like, it's really gross, and it smells terrible. Yeah. And then you just want to clean off any like indiscrepancies, make sure everything's flat and clear. So as I was telling you, the A2 was going to give us problems in the future. Well, when I brought it into my garage and I started to put the disc grinder to it, I broke it. So I had to start with this new piece of steel that I just cut it out of my I-beam. I didn't feel like taking it back to the forge. It's a little bit of a cheat way, but whatever, it's going to come out looking awesome. So right now we're just going to start putting the bevel on it, and the bevel's really simple to do. Most people use a bevel jig. I like doing it by hand. You can really mess it up, but once you get good at it, it's pretty simple. It's not super hard at all. You just want to keep going back and forth gradually down towards the edge. You just got to get it in like a rhythmic pattern, I guess. Ooh, look, it's all shiny right here. That's my grandpa walking up. He always loves to come up and look what I'm doing. Once you're done with that, you just want to start like cleaning up the bottom side of the bevel where like the blade initially starts, if you want to square it out. Some people don't, and that's fine, but I wanted to kind of square it out a little bit. And then you can just go up and clean up the blade again and just make sure everything's flat and smooth. And look, you can see yourself in it. Well, I can see myself in it. And it's pretty thin. Everything's touching. I don't want to put the I didn't put the point on yet because we have to drill holes in it later. And I've had mess ups to where I've almost disemboweled myself with a sharp knife messing up on a drill, and I don't feel like cutting my gut open. And I'm sorry guys, but normally I try to use stuff that I can just get from the store or just find laying around my house, but this piece of brass right here I actually had to order online, and it's like 36 bucks, but I wanted to make this look really cool. And all I'm doing here is I'm just laying it out to make sure that there's a proper gap right before I start measuring where the handle goes, and I just need those markings on the blade because we're about to cut it out. So here I already cut out one side because, again, there's no point in showing you me doing both sides. You got to make sure you're doing very accurate cuts. I mean, super accurate. That's why I'm taking my time just getting the initial cut going. Once you get it going, just make sure you write it down, the markings that you have. It's very important. You want to be as accurate as possible. Now, It's not that hard to do once you get it going, but just getting it going, like, really is important. And you want to go all the way up to where you made the top marking for the very top of the brass, because that's where the cross guard is going to be going. After that, you just want to make sure you file this down to make it very even. And see, check it out, there's a little gap for the cross guard. So filing is the most boring process I've ever done in my life. It's hands down the most mind-numbingly boring, but it's great. It's kind of like a meditation. You can kind of get in this like meditative zen when you're doing it. And at that little part there, I messed up and I ended up like not cutting off a piece that I wasn't supposed to. So I had to go back and fix it, raising where the cross guard's gonna go. But that's fine. You just want to make sure everything's squared out and is very flat. It's very important that you do that. Otherwise, the cross guard's not going to sit right. Right here, we're just setting up the brass piece to have a little bit of overhang on the back side and a good bit of overhang on the front side, so that when we cut it off, we can get like these nice finger grooves that I want to go into it. Now, brass gets very hot, and I was stupid and I didn't realize that. So you got to let it cool off after you get done cutting it. Ooh, look at it. It's starting to come out really nice. Now we want to just start making a marking, finding the middle piece of the brass, and we're just going to score it with like a file or a piece of nail or whatever. And we just want to make 3 indentations where we're going to be drilling soon. Now, they're important to make sure the drill doesn't wobble and start scratching it up. And you want to make sure you find a drill bit that's not as big or not as wide as your piece of steel. And then just use that drill bit. The reason being, if it's just as wide as your drill bit and you mess up, it's going to mess up the entire crossguard and you got to restart, which is annoying. As you can see, the little one in the middle is a little bit off center, and that's fine because it's not as big as it's not as wide as the piece of steel that we need. And then just do it 2 more times going through the middle. Now this is important because we're gonna have to make this a solid square slot to stick the tang of the crossguard through. Now when you're doing this, you just want to make sure you don't really hit the outer edge, and you're gonna have to do a lot more filing. I mean, dude, a ton of filing, because brass sucks to file. It clogs up your files so quickly, and it's just terrible, man. It's the worst thing in the world to file. Steel's way easier to file than brass, but I make it look good. And you just want to constantly recheck because you want it to be tight. Now, this isn't going to be coming out super tight as I wanted it, because I kind of messed up on the inside, but oh well, it's workable. And you can see that little gap right there. We got to just file that down till everything sits completely even. And look, ooh, it touches. Now, there's just this slight little gap in the corner that I want to drop down just a little bit. So we just curve that little corner part of the brass slot out, or the brass crossguard out, and then we just clean it up afterwards, round it out, make it look really, really nice. Look at that nice square slot. All right, and so once we're done with that, we're just gonna be running some pins through the crossguard itself into the handle. You wanna make sure it's snugged up to the very top as far as it can go, and then you wanna drill the hole through it. Otherwise, it's gonna mess up, and you don't really want that, and it's gonna look stupid, and you're gonna have to restart. So now we're just cutting out the finger groove that I wanted, that I was talking about earlier. You just wanna cut in and then cut down, and then, ooh, look at that. Starting to come out nicely. You want to start using a half moon file just to round it out. Now the most important thing, ooh, it's starting to come there. Ooh, look at, oh, it's coming. I love looking at this stuff. You want to make sure that it actually touches the wall of the slot that you made. So you want to actually get all of the brass between where you made your incision all the way up to where the slot starts out. So it's going to take you a long time of filing, and then you're just going to have to like keep rolling it and rocking it to make it a nice gradual curve, but you want it all the way touching your slot. So it's a nice transition from the bone that we're going to use for the handle into the actual crossguard itself, because the crossguard is a little piece of it is actually going to be a part of the handle. So you want to make it a smooth, comfortable transition for people. You want to make sure you do it on the front and the back side and go all the way down to the wall of the slot. Once you get that wall like flimsy enough to where you can take it out with your hand, you just want to score each side evenly and make sure it's like a nice straight piece over. And ooh, look at that. We got ourselves a fancy cross guard. Oh yeah, baby. Look at that. All that work that you guys just put in is paid off. All right, sweet. So I just had some oranges and some orange juice, and I'm all amped up now. Let's get this going, right? So now we're just putting the holes through for the guard on, right? Super easy, not super hard. Just find a drill bit that matches the size of the pins that you're using. Pop those bad boys through. Ooh, look at that. We got the holes. It's going to be looking nice. We're almost there. Once you're done, just tape the bone to the handle and then just drill back straight through those holes that you did and just bam. See, that's what I was talking about. If you put a point on it or a really sharp blade, it can catch, spin, and just like cut you in the gut. And trust me, I got scars on my gut from this. It's not fun. Once we're done with that, we're just going to be putting the little blade on, doing the top part just a little bit. Make sure that blade's nice and sharp, nice and pointy. And then look at that. Ooh, that's super nice. She's going to love this. Let's take it to the forge. And oh man, I just love fire. Oh God. And you just want to make sure that you get it very, very hot. Now I got something really cool for you guys. Normally I quench with water, but I wanted to make this really nice, so I wanted to quench with some fire. Shakes. Fire! Yeah! Look at that. My stupidness and my stupidity, whatever you want to call it, didn't realize oil catches on fire when you put really, really, really hot steel in it. And so I put it in a plastic container. Don't do that. Put it in a metal one. Please don't do that, because it yeah, you see? That's why you don't do that. And then it starts burning and it's just not fun. It's a terrible experience. So we got one side cleaned up. Now I'm just doing the other side. Super easy. Just use the wire brush or anything. Right now is a good time to kind of tell you guys, this is an apology, this knife, because I don't really like apologizing. It's not really a thing of mine, unless I actually feel like I need to, and, well, because I was such an asshole to her in the past, this is the only way I can, make up for being such an asshole before, is to make the most extravagant knife I can. And, dude, this part right here was crushing. I broke the handle. I broke it, dude. It was terrible. After all that work, I just broke it. So I ended up switching over, and I talked to her, and she was like, oh, bone or antler, works. So luckily, Jason, probably 3 days before this, hooked me up with some antlers, so I had enough. I had some, so I could actually get this done. Thank God for trading people stuff for stuff. This is what works out. But, it's really simple. I used a disc grinder to cut it. For the most part, I highly doubt that's the best way to do it. I just cut it, and look, it was just a crappy cut inside. I had to shave it down with the, flatten it out with the, what do you call the thing? Belt sander. Yeah, there we go, belt sander. And now here, I wanted to put a little bit of extra flair. I didn't want that little knuckle from the horn being there, whatever you call that part. So I wanted to make the bottom part that you see from really cool knives. And so we're just gonna do the same thing we did with the cross guard and make one, dude. And it comes out so sweet. It's so much fun. This is so cool. All right, sorry guys. So I put it together a little bit. I didn't do any of the finishing process of the glue and anything, but this is what it looks like, what it will kind of look like when we're finished. Isn't that cool? I didn't show you the antler and how to do that. If you can work with wood, you can work with antler. You just want to make sure that it comes down to the bottom piece and the top piece of the cross guard. You want to make sure it slants down. Everything else is fine. We're just going to be putting a hole through the bottom part, and then we're just going to be scraping up the inside of the handle. And then we're also going to be scraping up the tang of the knife, and we're just going to put this bad boy together. Look at that. And so also, while you guys are watching this, I curved out with the half moon file the bottom part to the knife. I think it's called a counterweight. I actually think it's called a counterweight. I'm not sure, but I don't remember. Once you get everything, just make sure you get glue in all the nooks and crannies. You're going to need it. It just makes everything come out a little bit tighter. And then once you're done, just pop that bad boy in between two boards, put it in a vice grip or any type of clamp, and bam. Look at that. Now this is the next day, so like don't get it out right away. I let this bad boy sit for at least 12 hours, all right? And we're just gonna go through and clean up the little brass pins sticking out, cut off the tang that's sticking through the bottom. Look at that. Yeah, and then after this, all you guys want to do is just go through and clean up the pins, file them down. You're going to actually have to file down the antler. I used a combo between the file that you see here and a belt sander a little bit. For the most part, you can get a lot of it with the belt sander, but you are going to have to use the file for the inside. And then I'm sorry, guys, I actually made a really cool sheath for this. You're going to see it in 1 second. And I just didn't have enough time. You guys have already been watching for 20 minutes, so let me show Vera this because she's finally here.
All right. So since somebody's finally here, check this out.
Yay!
Yeah.
It's got my name.
It does. It took me like 3 attempts to make that properly. Because then I spelled it wrong on the first go. And
the handle, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Antler, sick. Oh man. Oh wow.
Yeah.
That is a sick knife, dude.
I told you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That thing is heavy.
Yeah. I was gonna say. Also, this is like. This isn't even like super sharp, and it's still dumb sharp.
Oh, yeah.
It's not. I have to, after I polished it, I gotta like re-put the edge on.
Right.
Because like it's still sharp. It's still like this will cut you with no problem. But it's like, yeah, it's super.
Very nice.
You know, like tomorrow.
You're like, where are we going today?
Yeah, where are you going with the knife, Jones? No problem. Well, see, I know you always wanted me to make you one, and then I figured, well,
Yeah, this thing's fucking badass. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Oh yeah, I know. Like, and there's no other knife
I
like
wanna
it.
Stab people.
Walking around, and we're trying to. I bought an extra beer, and I haven't drank anything yet. But I'm trying to find a homeless person to give this beer to. And the dude Tony told me where to get beer. Can't find him, so some lucky
You
homeless
said
dude.
to get him a beer and then it disappeared.
Yeah, he did disappear. He was like, "Hey, can you get me one?" I was like, "I don't know, hold on." And he just disappeared on us. So yeah, next homeless dude we meet is in luck. Taking Vera home now. We just arrived to the airport. Mwah. Yes, we have to take her home. Our adventure is done. Now I have to shoot a video for it.
Be back soon.
I know.
Just light things on fire.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll light more things on fire. It'll be awesome. You ever meet somebody and then like, you think you're crazy? You go through your whole life thinking you're crazy, and you meet them and they kind of let you know in their own weird way that you're not crazy because we're on the same wavelength. It's kind of like that, guys. And then when they're gone, just things don't seem right. Well, the show's not over.
Sometimes you think you're gonna be with someone for a while, right? And it never lasts.